And I'm going to need you to, unfortunately, have to do that one as well, because that's what they're saying up here. So,
Why don't you let JDS share the PowerPoint from?
I can share that. Yeah, no, I can share that. I can share right
Okay.
here. Yeah.
And
then just close the PowerPoint.
Yeah, we'll lose access to that camera, but that's fine.
Oop. Go up here.
We'll just leave the Zoom on.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
And then that'll keep that camera.
Actually, I think what we might have is share. There's gonna we'll share it. We're sharing the screen, yeah. So we'll have to change the screen at the same time when we change screen.
Oh no, he's sharing what you have. Or
Oh, okay.
That should be fine.
Look at that.
Okay. Thank you.
Logistics, always fun.
It's always fun. It's always easy. It's always.
All right.
Okay, perfect. Okay, well, hello everybody. Thank you so much for coming. If you're not already aware, of course, this is the Film Alliance's town hall. This is going to be a reoccurring thing we do every year to, of course, inform students about upcoming events, updates with the Herberger School, and of course the Sidney Poitier New American Film School as well. And also just updates about the Film Alliance in general. So we have a lot of fun things in store for you guys, specifically regarding the Mesa facility. As I know, students have a lot of questions regarding that. So that'll be a heavy topic we'll discuss today. We got some next slide. I guess.
Next slide.
Yes,
There we go.
So yeah, we have 5 just general topics we'll be going over today. First of being the Herberger updates, like I talked about earlier, of course. That's then leading to the checking with the College Council, which we have here with us today. Also the Sidney Poitier New American Film School updates, checking with the Alliance, and then of course at the end, moving into those important move to Mesa topics. So that's generally what we'll be discussing today, just to give you guys a heads up. So next slide, please.
Next slide.
Perfect.
Herberger
Herberger updates. So I don't know if Brett would like to take over from here. He's on Zoom right now.
I am here. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Cool. Awesome. So hi, I'm Brett Stackler. My pronouns are he, him, and his. Myself and DP Layton, who's also here on Zoom. We're here from our Student Engagement and Creative Careers team in the Herberger Institute. So we're going to kind of quickly go through a few things that are both salient for you all right now, and also to kind of talk about them in the context of how they'll exist on the Mesa campus as well. So this is our entire Student Engagement and Creative Career team. I'll drop the link to our website after I'm done talking, but everything that we do, that our entire team does for all Herberger Institute students, can be found on our website, which is students.herbergerinstitute.asu.edu. Long website, but I promise it's worth it when you visit it. So a lot of the things like that I talk about that that you may like want to reference or jot down, all these things can be found on there, and that's our entire team. So the first thing that I'm going to chat with you about is just being the time of the year that it is to always recommend tutoring services. Can you hit me to the next slide, please? Thanks. Which is you can easily find at tutoring.asu.edu. One of the things that we found is that film students particularly benefit from this because of they're able to give a lot of really great feedback as it relates to either scripts that you're writing or just general papers that you're writing for class. Our film students that use this had an average GPA jump of about anything between 0.5 to 1 full GPA point in the classes that are writing oriented that they use this for. So this is something that exists as most things do these days, both online and in person. So there's ways that you can submit, different writing samples that you're doing online and get some online feedback, or to even go to like a Zoom tutoring session. Or they are there to meet with you there in person too, and they do quite a bit during the finals week as well. So we always want to encourage film students to use this because we've seen that it's impacted your major the most, other than majors in the design school. And on the Mesa campus, we're in negotiation with with this office, the University Academic Success Programs, to see if they can do different drop-in hours that would be in person on the Mesa campus as well. So when we iron out those details with them over the summer, we'll be putting those in some visual materials for you too, so that you can check those out. The other one that I wanted to talk about, next slide, please, is the Counseling Center. So this is something that if you started as a student with us during the pandemic, you may not know about them or utilize them as much, because counseling is was such a in-person oriented service, that it's somewhat new that it's basically both a combination of virtual and in-person. So as of right now, most counseling is available the most available counseling for students is available via telehealth, which is essentially what I'm doing right now, is just counseling over Zoom. This is something that is to no cost to students. If students are still interested in in-person counseling, there is some availability. It's not as much as it is available through telehealth, though. So that's the route that I would be recommending to everybody at this point. And it's, even though this is like a time of the year where you're like, I'm only going to be a student for like a couple more weeks, they have if you're having like a crisis moment, like this is something that you can utilize, and that is always in your back pocket to use. So, and this is again something that we are going to see what kind of drop-in hours could exist on the Mesa campus for this upcoming academic year as well, just because many of the services that the Counseling Center offer are primarily based on all the other campuses except for Mesa at this point. Then the last thing I'm going to talk about is an upcoming initiative that we started doing some research on this year, and this is for creative student organizations in particular. And obviously all the student organizations that fall under the Film Alliance umbrella count towards this as well. We wanted to get some feedback on what are some of the things that are most important to our student organizations. And those are the things that came up most salient are storage and utilizing shared equipment, funding, event and program support for some more complex events that some of our student organizations put on, and then different communication support. So this is going to be something that we launch this next year. We're going to do the registration process for this because our affiliation for student organization to utilize these resources are that executive board members need to have at least 3 current Herberger Institute majors as part of the executive board, as well as being registered as a student organization through educational outreach and student services, or undergraduate student government is what you probably are most familiar with. So we're going to start this registration process starting in mid-June and keep it open through early September, just because it's the first year that we're doing this. And again, the purpose of this for our creative and performing arts student organizations is that you get access to all these different benefits. So I'll be emailing you all over the summer, and we'll host a couple of different meetings at the beginning of the year to kind of talk through some of the different ways that you all can connect with each other and work with each other, as well as the different resources that you can utilize through our office in particular. And then we're going to particularly have a creative arts and design org fest the week of September 19th, which is something that we used to do before the pandemic began, but something that we're going to bring back in a much more holistic form. Doesn't mean that Film Alliance or any of like the music, dance, and theater or so on and so forth of the different academic programs that we have, that doesn't mean that you all can't have like your own, but we also want to keep one open to the entire student body, or to have access to all of the different 65 plus creative and performing arts student organizations to see how they can join and what are some of the benefits of joining your orgs. All right, so that's all from my section that I wanted to update you all on. I'm gonna stick with the town hall throughout the entire time though, just in case there's any questions that are related to things that we might have the answers to. But for now, I'm gonna turn my camera off and kick it over to DP, who's gonna talk to you about some career stuff. All
Hey, thank you so much, Brett. Hi, y'all. My name is DP Layton. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I am the Assistant Director for Creative Careers. If you didn't know, Creative Career Services exists. There's an entire department inside Herberger that is specifically to help arts, design, performance, communication students like you get jobs. I wanted to come here today again just to remind everyone, or to maybe inform you if you didn't know, that we do exist. You've likely heard about FilmSpark and know about their website and their resources. We do not replace them, we supplement them. FilmSpark and your faculty both have really wonderful industry connections and resources for you. And likewise, Creative Career Services has a lot of really great resources and services that I really want you guys to be taking advantage of. So we will be tabling throughout the Mesa campus occasionally. I'll be sending either myself or one of my creative career peers, who's an undergraduate student just like you guys, around to different areas with our pop-up banner, just to, again, raise awareness of our services, let you know about any career fairs or networking events or anything that's going on. Especially, in like the spring semester, it's a mad dash to find summer internships. So we do tabling events to help students with resume review and things like that. If you just Google ASU Creative Career Services or Herberger Institute Career Services, we're going to be the first link. We're not inconspicuous. But we have a lot of services such as one-on-one career advising, again, with myself or a creative career peer. We also have a lot of other career services for you, a lot of handouts on like how to draft resumes and cover letters and, what is an internship and how do I find internships and things like that. So we have a lot of resources on there, and you can always just book if you don't even know where to begin, just book an appointment with me and I'll be able to take you through everything that's on our website and how to use it. It's never too early or too late to start using career services, because we really want to make sure that you are set up for success and getting some work both in school and before you leave as well. You'll be also seeing emails coming from either gig@asu.edu or creativecareers@asu.edu, both of those email addresses we use. One is for gigs that we distribute to students that are patrons or community members who are looking for film students for work. And through Creative Career Services, we'll advertise positions and internships and jobs, especially for things like the Phoenix Film Festival. Warner Media very often is looking to hire our students, so we distribute those there as well. One of the last things I did kind of want to share with you guys is part of my job is speaking a lot to employers. I speak to a lot of hiring managers and people who are hiring students just like you, and I can tell you they are one of the big things they are looking for is communication skills are really, really important. And communication takes many different forms. It's verbal, it's nonverbal, there's written communication, there's body language communication, and then of course art is communication. Your videos are communication, your production are communication. Communication skills are the most important thing when it comes to securing a job or an internship, securing a place on set. And so I really want you to pay careful attention when you're looking for jobs, when you're finding things that you want to apply for. Come and make an appointment with myself or one of my career peers to review your application materials. If you're looking to network with new people, fantastic. I encourage you to meet with us, maybe look at some of our handouts about networking, about how to just craft those emails and correspondence professionally. So as you're putting your best foot forward and you're getting the most out of the interaction with either that professional you want to talk to or that position you're looking to apply to. So again, I will just leave you with Creative Career Services exists. We are here to help you. We want to help you. Hopefully you will see us in your classes. And also any student club, organization, or alliance can actually book creative career presentations on a number of different topics. We even have these things called industry overview packets, which were actually created by our undergrad student career peers. Film is one of the 30+ different career fields that we have, and they have resume samples, cover letter samples, lists of job boards where you can find work, blogs to follow, lists of national and international organizations, as well as ASU clubs and orgs to join, blogs about your career field, because we all know the difference between video production and video editing. Those career fields are really different. What they ask in your materials are quite different. And we do research on what the ins and outs of that are. So we're here. We want to speak with you. Please come and use us. And yeah, if you just look Creative Career Services, or just look up me, DP Layton. I think I'm the only person at ASU with DP as a first name, so they're easy to find. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you to both of you for coming in and speaking about these incredible opportunities and resources for students. I know they can be extraordinarily valuable. So I really hope students take advantage of them for sure. So perfect. Before we move on, is there any questions on what was just discussed in this this first section? Any questions online? Okay, perfect. We'll let you know at the end if any students have any questions pertaining to what was just discussed. But again, thank you so much. Okay, so perfect. Now we're going to move on to our part 2, which is checking in with the College Council. So we have both our members here. If you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Zach Gutzweiler. Pronouns are he, him, his. I'm the senator for the Herberger Institute.
I'm Lydia Graw, pronouns they, them, theirs, and I am the other senator representing Herberger Institute.
Just real quick, I want to inform you that there are technically 2 and a 3rd senators for the Herberger Institute. Our 3rd senator is Hannah Berryman. She has a dance minor and has agreed to take on a lot of the dance workload. Some of our priorities this year is trying to connect better with our academic units and our student organizations. And with that, we've kind of divvied up the workload with who is reaching out to who and trying to, serve you as our constituents and students as best as possible. All of our contact information is up there. Please always feel free to reach out with questions, concerns, if you need help, anything with USG or College Council, or just, hey, we're planning an event and, how do we find money? Next, please. Some of our priorities as senators this year, and this is concurrent with the College Council. Real quick, the College Council is like a sub-organization of the undergraduate student government. They are the council that kind of oversees all of the student organizations within the Herberger Institute and kind of oversees larger initiatives such as, widespread events for the whole institute, other funding opportunities, trying to assist students on a widespread scale. Some of our priorities this year are connecting the Herberger Institute with the undergraduate student government. One of the things I heard the most this year is, we have an undergraduate student government, or how do I even get in contact with these people? So we want to try and bring undergraduate student government closer and in touch with the Herberger Institute. So, different organizations and different colleges have access to our creative minds and creative careers, as well as connecting us with maybe some other logistics and funding. With that is greater support to our academic units and organizations. We want to be a resource to connect you guys with, university administration, university resources, community engagement. Same thing with, helping plan events, just like Brett touched on, trying to bring greater support, bring, boots on the ground from maybe a higher level. We're also working on fiscal diversity, creating and helping locate and secure funding for students and organizations for things like professional development, artistic development, projects, equipment purchases, rentals. I know a lot of what our organizations do is event and, creation, production oriented, and that's very hard to get funded currently through USG or even through yourself, since it becomes very expensive. One of the plans for the next year is trying to increase budget lines for things like artistic development and project development, which currently didn't exist in the professional development bucket in USG, as well with helping the College Council find greater opportunities to fund different student organizations and different opportunities for collaboration as well. Next slide, please. College Council elections are coming up. The election cycle for them happens on a year-end basis rather than a year-beginning basis. Nominations are actually due at 11:59 tonight. The Google link is up in the slide. If you're interested in any type of executive board position, such as president, outreach director, things that oversee the college, please feel free to nominate yourself, as elections will happen next week for the executive board from Wednesday. They'll all be virtually from Wednesday, hoping we open them up at noon, to Friday at 5 p.m. And with that, we have a finals event, which will be coupled with announcing our election results at 6 p.m. On Friday from 4 to 6 on the Nelson Fine Arts lawn is a parachuting into finals event. If you've ever remember from your middle school days in PE, those giant parachutes that you would throw up and run under. It's just like a cool, let's, have fun, relax, decompress from the semester and prepare for finals, have one last hurrah. Different types of refreshments will be provided, so it'll be a fun time. And the last one is a workshop opportunity. The School of Music, Dance, and Theater has partnered with the College Council to do a workshop on finding the money, such as discussing finding club and organization funding, professional development funding, artistic funding, more information on self-producing, other types of special initiatives, such as, where does other parts of money from the Herberger Institute or USG come from for larger purchases and larger ideas, as well as more event planning and banquets and, some of those application process things. And that will be, again, next Friday, but it will be noon to 1 and lunch will be provided.
Okay.
That's all for us.
All right.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for informing us about this. I know, students may just not be familiar with such things. So getting them informed about all that you do is really important. So I appreciate you taking the time to, inform us all of these things. The next topic we will be discussing, our third section, is our school updates, the film school updates. So JDS, you can feel free to.
Great. Hello, everyone. A lot of this stuff is being distributed to you via your email boxes through the sizzle reel, which is our newsletter, which is every other week, every other Tuesday. The sizzle reel comes out, and that's going to always contain sort of all the most current information about stuff that's going on. So please, if you're not paying attention to the sizzle reel, please do pay attention to it. We should also point out that our film students have their own Canvas organizational page. There's a Canvas page called, Sidney Poitier New American Film School Students. If you're not part of that page, please contact somebody in our office or even contact me and I'll be sure that you get added. It looks like a course in Canvas, but it's a place where all of your forms, procedures, information, announcements, things go out from there. So we want to be sure that we're able to communicate with you as quickly as we can. Also, please be sure you are following us on socials, particularly our Instagram feed, which is at ASU Film School. Is it correct? Yes, I think so, yeah. As well as following all the various student clubs, because a lot of information comes through on Instagram stories and posts and things like that as well. A few things that we want to have you know about. There is a free screenwriting seminar going on April 23rd, which is tomorrow, 10 to 12 a.m. April 23rd is allegedly Shakespeare's birthday, so that's always a good day to practice some writing. Obviously, we're very, very excited about Senior Showcase, which is coming up on May 6th and 7th, 2 different nights of programming. So you'll see completely different films from night to night. We hope you can join us for one or both. This is a mapped event. Hi-to students, if you're a student in the Herberger Institute, you get 1 ticket for each night for free if you want. For everybody else, ASU students is $5. The general public is $10. And we're also very excited to welcome Welcome to Hollywood Speaker Series. The director and cinematographer from Black Adam, including Larry Scher, the cinematographer, who's a friend of our program, has done workshops for us before. That is April 25 at 5:30, and that's being hosted at the ASU California Center in LA. You can attend it via Zoom if you're not in Los Angeles. All right, speaking of Los Angeles, I'd like to talk about our Semester in LA program. Move my picture down there. Applications are now being accepted for fall 22. This is only, the current semester is the first semester we've done this, so fall will be our second semester. We're gonna be offering this program every semester as far as we can tell. That's the plan. This is basically, it's a study abroad program, but rather than going to another country, you're only going to downtown Los Angeles, which is in its own way kind of another realm anyway. But it's to the newly renovated Herald Examiner building that ASU purchased, where we'll be offering a number of film classes, including internships. Welcome to Hollywood. I know Peter Marietta is offering a class in TV history. Cheryl Boone Isaacs will be teaching a class out there. So this is a chance, particularly for junior and senior students who want to get a leg up in the transition to Los Angeles and Southern California. So it is for juniors and seniors only, but if you're a freshman or a sophomore and you're interested, you can still inquire about the program, learn about it, and maybe start, saving your money and making your academic plans to make that a reality. We're very excited about this program. We also asking people to keep an eye out for new courses. These are courses that are sometimes, they're under the special topics numbers, 294, 394, 494. So sometimes they get lost a little bit. People don't know that we're offering them. But specifically in fall of 2022, we've got a great online course in production design, a new course that's required for our BFA students called The Filmmaker's Voice, which is going to be taught by Professor Gishitani this fall. She's going to be talking about women filmmakers, international filmmakers. I'm once again teaching the live stream production workshop. Our staff videographer and communications person, Taylor Blackmore, is going to be teaching Video Production Lab, which is a class where you are going to be creating promotional and visual materials for the film school, as well as for some other external units at ASU. And Professor Nick Pilarski, who is one of the world's leading pioneers in the world of gaming and virtual reality and imagining virtual worlds, is offering a class called Cinema and Game Worlds. And then we've also got a number of new classes, new for summer, that are being offered in summer that we want to point people to as well. So if you're looking for summer classes, particularly summer classes that count towards your degree, that are required classes, we want to be sure we're offering those as well. All of the summer classes are online. Starting next summer, we're going to be offering some in-person classes in summer, some in-person production classes at the new Mesa Center. I believe that's all I have from the film school end, but we'll be back a little bit later to talk about the move to Mesa.
Perfect. Any questions on what we just discussed by chance?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's go back. Lottie Core Hall, room 170. Absolutely. Free for ASU students, use promo. Is that the QR code, or
the
the
QR code goes to the senior showcase.
Senior showcase? All right.
If you want to check out more information, I believe more information would be on the.
Yeah. Yeah. And does that fade in that's doing the screenwriting seminar? Not sure. Okay. It's Chris Lamont who's doing it. Professor Lamont. Okay. All right. There you go.
Perfect. Okay. Any other questions? Online. Well, with that, we'll move on. So yeah, we'd like to take this next segment to talk about specifically the Film Alliance and what we do. You know the next slide. Perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of like the student council, we're in a position where a lot of students may not be aware of what we do and what offerings we can provide. This is a lot of words right here, but I included it because this is just an entire overview of our purpose. There's some things I'd like to just highlight for you guys. Of course, we want to build a collaborative forum between the career-based and professional development film clubs at Arizona State University. And in doing so, foster a supportive and unified film community. We'll dive into, not the next slide, but the one after that, the specific clubs that we are affiliated with. We have 8, which I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar with. But beyond that, we strive every academic year to have a town hall, such as the one you are attending currently, develop a service project, or do a joint event between all our member clubs. So that would be any kind of event that would utilize every single one of our 8, or as many as we can, our affiliated clubs and organizations. And we're really excited to implement such things next academic year. But yeah, beyond that, another really key important thing is that we are student council for the Sidney Poitier New American Film School, represent the student body in faculty events such as the monthly faculty meeting, the semester retreat, and the selection process for future staff candidates. This is a really, really important point to discuss because we are that key voice for students within our school. So we want to hear from all of you. We're sending out a few spotlight videos to some of our affiliated clubs events coming up here, specifically the showcases. If you attend MGEs or AFAs, we'll touch on those a little bit later. But we'll further introduce ourselves there, but we just want to make sure you all are all aware of what we do. And you can feel free to reach out anytime. Contact information will be at the end of our section. So next slide. Unfortunately, our entire team wasn't able to attend today, but I am Andrew Murfeld. I'm the Alliance Chair. My pronouns are he, him, his. And Jocelyn, you have to introduce yourself.
I'm Jocelyn Hubbard. I'm the head of marketing. My pronouns are she, her, hers.
Perfect. And we also have Jayla Johnson as our head of operations and our treasurer, Hannah Hutchinson as our secretary, and CJ Mitz as our event coordinator. So this is our current team. Next slide. So as previously mentioned, these are our 8 affiliated clubs and organizations. Like I said, you may be familiar with some of them, all of them, but these are all the umbrella of our professional development organizations, trying to be a well-rounded, because of course the filmmaking process has many different outlets, many different subsections. So we're trying to develop that and to allow students to get opportunities, learning opportunities, events and stuff like that, where they can get involved and learn about each one of those sections. So of course we have the Association of Filmmakers at ASU. We have the Association of International Media, Entertainment Business Association, Baden, Hollywood Debates Tempe, MGE, WIFA, Women in Film, Hollywood Debates Tempe, and Rough Cut. So those are our 8. If you have any questions about those, let me know at the end of the section. But yeah, next slide. So of course the semester is coming to an end, so we don't have a ton in store, but what we do have in store is very important. We have 3 main events I'd like to highlight. WIFA is presenting on April 27th at 7 p.m. Their Birds of Prey screening. We have, sorry, I have the computer. Chloe, would you like to say anything about that?
It's just the regular guys are going to do a short lecture before about women directors, and the goal is just watch a female narrative-driven film and talk about it. So feel free to come, bring your business cards, network with other filmmakers at screening, and I hope to see you there.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Sorry for calling you out of the blue. Perfect. In addition to that, we have Root and Gold Entertainment's Spring 22 Semester Showcase. Jocelyn, is there, speaking of calling people out, is there anything you'd like to add about this?
Our club members have worked really hard all the semester to create some amazing short films. So those will be shown, as well as some other member films that were made throughout the semester, and they're really impressive. And it's only $5 to come join us at Majestic Theater. So we'd love to see all of you there.
And that's tomorrow. It's
Yes.
23rd.
Yes.
Date's not on here, so let's make sure people know.
Yes, of course. Yes. Yeah. And then finally, we have AFA's Film Festival, and I'm also part of AFA, so I can speak on behalf of them. This is our big hurrah, our end of the academic school year event. This is what we lead up to. It's our 17th annual, so this is something we've been doing for quite a while now. But it's kind of in addition to, of course, the school senior showcase. This is our more general showcase to showcase not only capstone films, but also F&P 300s. Submissions have closed, but nonetheless, you are more than welcome to attend. All these events take place at Majestic, so that's rather easy for all of you to remember. But yeah, that takes place the 30th, so not this Saturday, but the next. And yeah, I believe that's all the information I want to share about those 3 events. I guess any questions on those in particular, because I know it's a lot of information there.
Tickets for they're all $5 tickets.
Yes.
I know because I bought my tickets already.
Oh,
so.
well, there you go.
Yeah.
You know. Yes. Thank you. Okay, perfect. So yeah, next slide. So something, our own event we're looking to do. Of course, we have a town hall and those cross-club events, like I mentioned previously. But something we're looking to also start next semester, next academic school year, would be the Film Alliance annual tabling event. Of course, it was just spoken about having the Herberger one, the more large, all-inclusive ones to everything that falls under that specific category. But this is going to be more tailored just to our specific 8 affiliated clubs and organizations. So yes, please join us fall 2022 for our first ever tabling event. This is something we're going to be looking to do every single fall semester. But this is a fantastic way to kind of get started, get to learn more about our clubs if you don't know about them already, possibly even join the option team itself. As I know, they may be looking for specific officers. That's a really great way to do that. And just learn about what we're all up to. So yeah, that's something we're looking to do. It'll be on campus, no specific location yet, but follow our social media, of course, and that's how you can learn about all the details that come up with that. So next slide. And of course, speaking about social media, we have our email. This is goes right to our head of operations. So if you have any questions pertaining to what we do, any of our 8 affiliated clubs and organizations as well, please utilize this email here. Or you can also utilize our Instagram, which is it's our handle there at Film Alliance ASU. That's kind of the main hub for our social media, in addition to Discord, which I'll mention in a second. You can find a lot of our information there. And then Discord, and I have an asterisk next to that because currently we are titled as ASU Film Club, so that will be being rebranded soon as just the Film Alliance to make everything more cohesive. So yeah, that's everything we have to present. Now that this concludes this section, are there any questions? Okay, perfect.
All right.
Okay, so yeah, now before we jump into the Mesa facility, we are looking to take just a really short 5 to 10 minute break. We do have the food for those of you who are in person. Sorry for those of you who are not. But yeah, feel free to spend this quick time to refresh yourself, grab some snacks. We have plenty. So yeah, we'll do that now.
We'll be back in about 5. Right. We're just giving a 3-minute warning to people online. We'll be back in about 3 minutes. All right, we are coming back.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, you can go to the next slide.
Okay.
So yeah, we're moving on to our fifth and final section, the bulk of today's meeting, which is move to Mesa. So I know this is going to contain a lot of information, but feel free to hold on to your questions till the very end, because we're going to have a dedicated section to answering all of your questions. We had some questions submitted early, but we'll also take some time to hear what everyone both in person and online has to say. So yeah, next slide, and feel free to.
Okay. All right. So hello, everybody. Once again, we're actually joined by my colleague and friend Jake Pinholster, who many of you don't know, but once upon a time was the director of the then School of Theater and Film, which then became the School of Film, Dance, and Theater under Jake's auspices. And then Jake was elevated, I would say, to the dean's office, where he is the associate dean in charge of strategic initiatives and planning and enterprise design and operation. So what that means is Jake was somebody who had a vision for how to grow many of our programs in the Herberger Institute, notably through the development of what is now the Mix Center, after many iterations and a long history with the city of Mesa. So if there's any single person who we can thank for all of this, it's Jake, although he would concede that this was a broad effort. You are also the director of the Mix Center, is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And we can talk at some point if you want about the disambiguation of how the Mix Center and the Sidney Poitier New American Film School work together in that respect.
Yeah. So the film school is one resident of the Mix Center, one piece, a very, very big piece of it, sort of a critical piece of it. But there are a lot of other things going on with new degrees in arts, media, and engineering, new partnerships with companies like Dreamscape, which we know our students will be involved in, even if they're not officially film school things. There are other activities that are going on, and Jake has his eye on all of those things as well, and has been involved in the development and really making sure, as a veteran theater professional and as somebody who loves the creative world of film and media, that we're getting something that's really built for film schools. So this is the Mix Center Media and Interactive Experience, and it's going to be open in fall 22. And there's, in addition to the film school, there's a lot of other space for these new grad programs in really advanced media technology, entertainment, gaming, research, and we're very excited about that. So if you have questions about those specific things later, Jake can help answer those. Is this a video? Here we go. All right, so
yeah, it's a general recap of our tour that we were so gracious to partake in less than a week ago.
it was on Tuesday. We got a chance to walk some of the student leaders through the building, and here's the video. This is new for me too. I hope I shared my sound. Hold on. Can I make sure share sound? There we go. We were very impressed with the lights. Computer lights, yeah.
Computer lab. Control room there is set up for 32. Sonic sound. Fully stage. All three of the recording control rooms all set up for audio editing. Staircase.
Let's look at a paint job.
The screening theater, 285 seat, Dolby Atmos production, so it's about one of the largest non-IMAX screens here.
All right. Nicely put together, group.
In 3 days.
Yeah. There we go. So there's more things that we didn't see. There's actually 4 total sound stages plus the immersion studio. There's a construction shop. There's a costume area, green room area, many classrooms, other computer labs, editing suites, 14 editing suites, I think, 12?
16 total. There are 12 editing bays, 3 color grading suites, and 3 sound editing.
3 sound editing space, yeah.
18 total.
Yeah. And a smaller screening room that's 75, 78 seats as well. All of the screens throughout the building are going to be able to speak to each other. So if we had somebody doing a demo in one studio space, that could be screened to students watching in another screening room space. So it's sort of incredible. 110,000 plus square feet. 118,000 square feet. And a cafe on the ground floor as well, which will serve food and apparently alcohol, although we're not talking about that right now.
Breakfast, lunch,
breakfast, exactly, yeah. So this is located in downtown Mesa, a place that has a lot of deep history with our with our First Nations and Native tribes, as well as with our LDS and religious communities. The Mesa Temple is within walking distance of the mixed building. It's just north of the Mesa Art Center. There is we'll show you a little map. There's a light rail station literally right there. Within walking distance of the mixed building, and this is just a small handful of the public and private sort of performing arts and entertainment and cultural spaces that are literally within, you know, a 2 or 3 minute walk of our new building. In terms of what students can expect, most, if not, I don't want to say all, but probably most of the 300 and 400 level FMP courses will be at the Mix Center. The 100, 200 level courses, of which we don't have that many, are still going to be mostly on Tempe. The exceptions are the tech heavy classes, so FMP 220 and 225, as well as FMP 280. What this means is that for most freshmen and sophomore, most of your classes are still going to be on Tempe classes or on Tempe campus. But by the time you're a junior or senior, then most of your classes will be at the mixed campus, because we want to minimize the amount of travel back and forth students might have to do in any particular day or even any particular week. But so that's the goal. We're obviously going to be tweaking our schedule as time goes by to make sure that we can have students have plenty of time to get between the campuses, which are about 6.5 miles apart on the light rail. All of our classrooms are outfitted with the necessary software. Depending on what room you're in, the software is already there. It's also where we'll have equipment checkout. You saw the cage in the video, scene shop, costume shop, various kinds of fabrication labs where you can manufacture, builds, or anything you might need for your production. These are all also facilities that are movie studio professional quality facilities. So the idea is that various times professional companies might come and use these facilities, rent them out in order to facilitate their own productions. And again, we hope that's an opportunity to engage our students with some working professionals. Parking and transportation. That arrow that I've drawn there is on Main Street, which is actually the same as Apache. When you cross the freeway, Apache becomes Main. So it's parallel to the southern border of the Tempe campus. It's just 6.5 miles down the road. So if you're to go down Apache 6.5 miles, you would run into the mixed building. You can see there's a light rail stop right there, as well as one a few blocks earlier in downtown Mesa. And this map is of the various public parking lots that are available within just a few minutes walking distance. There's no official ASU lot. Down the road, perhaps there might be, but there's a lot of free parking in Mesa. They claim to have 5,000 free parking spaces available every day. For evenings and weekends, even more spots open up, because a couple of garages that are 9 to 5, you need a permit. After 5 o'clock, they open up. So for students who drive, there will be places to park. It's going to be one of those things where I imagine you're going to find your parking lot that you like to park at, how far you want to walk, how early you are to class, that sort of thing.
One other thing to point out
yes.
here, the light rail, there's also a light rail stop just to the east. So, and the light rail stops that are just to the west and just to the east of Mix, not the one at Main Street, not at Mesa City Center, but the ones on either side, both have park and ride lots.
Yes.
So if there's ever like a major festival or event or something and the parking is full in downtown Mesa, one of the best techniques is just to park at the light rail station on either side and just take the train one stop.
Yeah,
it's very simple. Or you can walk.
Or you can walk.
It's about a 7 or 8 minute walk.
Yeah, it's not that bad. Yeah. So again, the long-term plan is that there will be more facilities, more buildings, and more property available to ASU, perhaps to build housing in the future, parking and things like that.
Yeah.
But we're very confident that right now there's sufficient. It's just not in any one specific place. So we know that's
free.
It's free. Yeah, you don't need a permit. You don't need an ASU permit. There's even a lot of street parking. Just a lot of blocks having available street parking.
Yeah.
So what we really do is we encourage people you know, particularly over the summer, if you've got time, just go down there, walk around, you know, look where the parking is, see how far things are from the building. If you're somebody who likes to walk, it's a beautiful little downtown to walk through. But then, you know, if you're running late one day that there's a parking lot a little closer, you can grab that as well.
I'll also say
Yeah.
on if you're around for the summer note, we get the certificate of occupancy on the building on May 16th. Basically, anytime after that, the building's open to people with ASU ID.
Yeah.
You can come and poke around and see what's up. We'll try to get as soon as the Isaac system is up and running, everything in the building runs on your Sun Card. So as soon as that system is up and running, we'll try to get it programmed so that all film majors have access to come in and poke around and see what's going on.
We will be moving our equipment over the summer. So there's not a lot that we can do production wise over the summer until everything is settled in. But there will be people around. And like I said, if you want to bring a group of people down and walk around and take a look, we're absolutely welcoming you. For food options, as I said, the building will have a small cafe on the ground floor. We're hoping that is a local restaurant or local place. There's a couple places that are in negotiation, so that there'll be a place to eat. But there's many places that are within a little bit of walking distance. There's a Jimmy John's literally right there, practically in the parking lot. There's a sandwich place in the city council building, which is right next to our building. And then a bunch of various places. And just most of them are, with the exception of like Subway and Jimmy John's, most of them are sort of independent, local places. A lot of them very recently moved in. In fact, I would say more than half of these have moved in the last year and a half since we've announced. And I've eaten at like 7 or 8 of these places. They're all really good, but all local owners, all very excited about the kind of the rebirth of downtown Mesa, which is being driven in large part by what's happening in the Mix Center. You can imagine suddenly there's going to be, I think it's going to be about 1,100 or 1,200 bodies, like student bodies there every week. You know, like people with multiple classes, you know.
Maybe not year one, but by year 2 for sure.
Pretty close. Yeah.
Well, just because the grad programs.
I'm not, well, when we have the grad programs, there'll be even more. But there's going to be suddenly during the middle of the week, there's going to be a lot more people down there, let alone what students are going to be producing on weekends and things like that. So very excited. I won't talk about the food places, but if you want my recommendations, we can talk later. Yeah. Now, a lot of people have also asked about housing. There's no official ASU housing down there. In fact, that's one reason why we can't really call it a campus. A campus has housing and health facilities and things that we're not offering. So we are just a satellite center.
We are an instructional site.
An instructional site, technically, yeah. So there's no official housing at the moment. Again, this is something that we anticipate. There's already talks about, well, what might happen in the future. There's a couple of small hotels in the area or other kind of buildings that maybe we could turn into dorms. So that's down the road. But for right now, there are a lot of new housing complexes being built in the immediate vicinity, as well as not the same kind of density in housing that's around the Tempe campus. There's not that much available, but there are places available, certainly within, a mile or two if you want to live close to campus. But remember, you're only a 20-minute ride on the light rail from Tempe campus. So if you still want to live in Tempe, it's just a matter of working out your commute schedule on the light rail or bike or car or whatever you have. So there's no impetus to where you have to live in downtown Mesa, but there are some places available. When I checked, there were 85 apartments available.
Pro tip, actually, on this note, is actually would probably recommend looking in the area that's on the light rail stretch between Tempe and Mesa.
Yeah.
Because that's some of the cheapest market rate housing around, because it's not super close into a campus or super close into downtown.
But there's a lot of places along Apache and Main there.
Apache, and then you don't have to worry about parking at all. You can just get and go like 4 train stops and be in downtown Mesa and have really easy access. Yeah,
you can, and if you want to bike one way, take your bike on the train one way and bike back, or scooters or whatever. So but I would be looking at a lot of those apartments that are along Apache and Main, right around the freeway on either side, and you're equidistant between both campuses. All right. So with that, we anticipate there might be more questions or more specific things that we would love to answer about the building. So were there questions that that came in, Andrew? Or?
There's some I'll discuss first that were online, but I just want to preface that this next section, this last section here, is very much led by you all. So we'd love to hear what you have to say and bring up any additional discussion points that we may have not clarified enough or that you just simply have questions about. So yeah, one of the questions that we got previously was, will elements of the new Mesa building be open to alumni, and in what capacity?
Yeah, so a lot of the building is built to be open to the public in general. So the screening theaters will be used for public events. There's lots of opportunity for workshops and for public access and interactive events around immersive experiences and film together. There will be opportunities for people who are not currently registered students to participate in the creation and production of media.
Go ahead. My computer's going crazy. I don't know what happened, but there we go. Yeah.
But it won't be like free and open access just because of insurance and liability concerns. So we will be setting up slates of activities that will be able to include alumni and people who are in the community generally. And then also we'll be doing a lot with K-12 programs with Mesa Public Schools. But unfortunately, because of limitations around safety, liability, because students are covered and people who are not currently students or employees are not, we can't have open access to production facilities because of the dangers involved in those spaces.
But if an alumni has a project,
totally,
you know, where they're coming back to us as professionals, you know, it's one of those things that we, you know, well, yes, we would love to have you use those spaces. You're part of the community, you know, you're part of our community. So I think that the goal is to be as inclusive as we can, respecting everything in terms of, you know, legally who can be in what room at what time.
And if any activity that the Poitiers School directly puts on and produces that you want to open up, the school or the associated official organizations want to open up to alumni, and it checks out on your gear and that it's willing to sign off on the volunteer forms or whatever, all that works. But in terms of like open access to facilities, it's really the public event venues.
Yeah.
Perfect. And another question and a point we discussed during our tour itself is simply clubs. Will clubs be relocating to the Mesa building, or what kind of spaces will clubs have to run their events?
Up to y'all, like whether you're relocated or not, but definitely all the spaces in the building are bookable. So the two screening room, screening theater, so 80 seat and 285 seat theaters are open for booking for public events around class schedules. There's many classrooms that seat about 60 students max. There's a couple of larger sort of conference rooms and so on that can be booked. There's the enhanced immersion studio, which is about 150 students if it hasn't got some installation in it at the time. All that is reservable by student organizations for sure. And in terms of one thing that we've got, we have a shortage of like individual office spaces that we're going to have to figure out how to navigate. But what we have a fair amount of is hot desk space. So like basically open office suite stuff. So if film student organizations want a space to like sit down and work or have an assigned kind of co-working style space, that's also something we can make available.
Yeah, again, we didn't see a lot of it in the video, but on the third floor of the building is where there'll be faculty offices, some staff offices, but a lot of those are also going to be sort of flex spaces. So it might not be the permanent room for a student club, but if you want to have your meetings in there every other Monday or whatever, then it would be open for there. Yeah.
Yeah, there's almost nothing in the building that's permanently assigned to any one function. Like the film that we try, one of my parts of my job is to keep the building as accessible and maximized as possible. So generally speaking, the only spaces that will be pretty much locked off to just one school unit or purpose will be the sound stages, because there's such high demand from the film school on those, and they take such training to use in terms of power and rigging and so on. Everything else in the building is kind of like open to access for anybody, organizations, units, and so on that's interested.
Perfect. And this sort of relates to the access time-wise. We'll see. I know we talked about this briefly during our meeting as well, but will students be able to access the building at any time? Will it be open to them?
24/7. Everything on the building is, and if we run into problems, that might have to change, but that's the goal, is to have 24-hour Isaac access to both the building's exterior and to at least the editing bays and the color grading suites, sound editing suites. And for students who have checked out, like it's all managed by SunCard Access. For students who have checked out and met the film school's requirements for being alone in the sound stages, then we can make that available to students on that basis as well.
A lot of that would probably still be controlled through what classes you're in and what project, what's required. So it's not like every student has access to everything every semester, but you'll definitely have access to what you need for your classes. And then generally speaking, I need an editing bay. It's like, okay, sign up for the time. There's a little screen on the door that has your time on it. You sign in and you're there, but it will be 24/7. There are some small lounge areas and sort of common student areas, a couple on each floor, where students can sort of de-stress and hang out. I know we're going to have a screen up in one of them for video game consoles to watch things, right? And again, this is the type of thing where I think as we think about other buildings or other facilities in that area, as we expand, there might end up being more, I think putting student-centered spaces will be sort of a part of that, especially if there ends up being residences down there as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and that brings me to just generally thinking about that space outside of the building itself. I know we talked about it being possibly converted to an ice rink during the winter and stuff like that. Would that be
The south half of the park.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
They do for 30 years, the city of Mesa has done an event called Merry Main Street, where between essentially Thanksgiving and a few days after New Year's, they converted that parking lot, what used to be a parking lot, into an ice rink and done daily 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. ice skating. So the closer part of the park is kind of what's adjacent to where this picture shows. It will be an ice rink 2 months of the year, and then the other 9 months of the year will be a shaded area that has game tables and picnic tables and study, like just hangout space.
Yeah.
And then the north half of the park is a kind of sloped amphitheater style grass field that faces that big screen. So my goal for that space is for it to kind of end up feeling like Mesa's living room. So that screen will show pre-composed content, generative media, real-time data during the day, but at night we'll do film screenings, esports tournaments. We'll do, like, if there's a big Arizona sports team, that's out of state or something, we'll show
They'll give us the licensing for it. Yeah.
So I mean, we want that to be a place where people actually, whenever it's below 90 degrees, hang out.
Yeah. And I mean, as a student, from my perspective, it's definitely something I picked up on during that tour itself, is that it's more than just a classroom space. There's areas like that cafe and stuff like that will be open to allow students, maybe if they have time they have to spend there, not in the classroom, they have stuff to do as well.
Yep.
Yeah, and then I know we already talked about transportation, but we have a specific question on students without cars. We talked about the light rail, but maybe buses as well.
Yeah, we're trying to get parking and transit to do this, and we may end up actually asking the Portier School and leadership and students to participate in pressuring ASU parking and transit. But the goal, and it may not happen for next year, is to have one of the two ASU shuttle lines, the maroon or gold, go west downtown Tempe, mix Poly, and then Poly mix Tempe back. And then the other one would keep going directly Tempe to Poly. So that's the goal. They estimate that there's a $300,000 a year cost for doing that, just for that one added stop in terms of needing to increase frequency of shuttles and so on. So their ASU Parking and Transit is kind of reticent to do that, particularly because the population in the building next year won't be huge. There's only the one building. But we feel it's really important, and there is actually a plan. We planned the site around a bus stop on Centennial that can handle the traffic. So we're hoping they'll say yes. But again, it may not be something they can implement for 22, 23.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a question in the chat as well that was asking specifically about the time it would take for the light rail to get from the Tempe campus to the Mesa building.
It takes 18 minutes to get from the Dorsey Lane. The goal, the easy thing, like right now, the light rail stop on Tempe campus is way far away from the film school area, Dixie Gamage, and around the Herberger Institute stuff. You have to walk all the way to the northeast side of campus. But by the fall, when you come back, the Tempe streetcar will be running, which has a stop right across the street on Mill. So taking the streetcar to the to Dorsey Lane stop estimated about 25 minutes total transition between like leaving Dixie Gamage and getting to Mesa.
If you're if you live in Adelphi or you live in Barrett or you live on that east side of campus, you're right on Dorsey and it's a lot quicker. Yeah. So depends on which side of campus you're on, basically. Yeah. But it's about it's 20 to 25 minutes. It runs every 20 minutes when the busy time and every 30 minutes when it's a little slower, I think is the schedule on it. Yeah.
On the light rail?
On light rail, isn't
It's
it?
more than that. It's every 5 minutes and every 20 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, until you get to like after 11 p.m. at night.
Okay.
Yeah.
I sit corrected. Yes.
I don't know if this is something you'd like to discuss, but something we talked about during our meeting was specifically filming possibly with neighboring small businesses and stuff like that and getting connected to the community. Could you speak about that?
We're in the process of, we have a community committee for the film school. Jake and I are actually both involved in a couple of different committees, one about the parks, one out sort of the business community. I'm on the board of the Mesa Art Center, which is right across the street, which is a lot of business connections. Our goal is to reach out particularly to those very local businesses, those walking distance businesses, but also throughout Mesa, which is the 36th biggest city in the United States. 33rd. Yeah, I mean, there's 360,000 people who live in Mesa. It's a very big, we think of it as a suburb, but it's a really big city. Yeah. And to reaching out to the business community, one of the great things about the city of Mesa is there's a long history of supporting the arts. That even for a politically and sometimes culturally conservative place, they've always definitely believed in arts education and arts training. So there's a welcoming atmosphere towards the idea of you're creating something. There's a lot of weird statues on the streets and weird paintings and murals and things like that. So they've always celebrated that, which I think is good. I would love to see a kind of thing where, while we're partnering with those business people in terms of encouraging them to use the facility and bringing their families to screenings, that we're able to say to them, hey, our students are available to you to, to help you create a social media campaign and shoot a bunch of stuff for your Instagram page, or make a commercial, or do a little documentary about your business or something like that. And I think that's just a matter of connecting businesses to our students, our student clubs in particular, talking to the Mesa Art Center about how can our students help document what goes on at the Art Center with all these great performing artists coming through. Creating new kinds of programming that are focused on Mesa. The mayor has a podcast, but can we have our own, podcast about what's going on in the building, or, can we create some excitement about the Mesa community? Because this is, and we haven't really gone into this because it's not that relevant to our discussion, but this building is paid for mostly by the city of Mesa. I mean, they are taking a project development fund, the one that they used to build the airport. And it's the same fund that's constructed, the lion's share of the building, with the idea that it is a community resource. So once upon a time, we had things like public access television, right? We're not going to quite do that there, but the idea is that if a community member, a business partner wants to come in and say, hey, I want to make stuff video-wise, help me, that we're there, whether it's the film school or the Mix Center in general, to do that. And think about what that means to the kids in elementary school, to be able to take a field trip there every year and escalate their experience. Jake is working on a summer camp for people with autism spectrum disorder to do video game design development. That's one of the first things that's going to be in there. So those are the kind of things that I think we're really, really excited about, that we want students to help us be innovative for. Because we know that the downtown community, those business people were absolutely instrumental in getting the city council to approve that. They said, we want this here, even though it's going to be a lot of construction and a lot of mishigash for a couple of years. Yeah. And I don't know if you want to add anything, Jake, but in terms of community relations.
I think we should go into the next question, because I could talk about that for hours and hours. Anybody who wants to learn more about how they can get involved in the community can contact either Jason or myself.
Yeah.
We have lots of irons in the fire.
Yeah.
Perfect. So yeah, that's all the questions that I had planned. Opening now to what you all have. So this is whether you're in person or online, of course. If you have any questions, please reach out, and that will guide our discussion going forward for the rest of this event.
Go ahead. That's a good question. I'm just going to repeat for the people online. What other schools, other units at ASU are going to be involved? So talk about AME, certainly, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Cronkite School will have some connection to us through the new Media Innovation Lab that Retha Hill runs there. So we have programs that are planned and joint courses with Retha. We're trying to get her out there to teach a class. But the new degrees that will be out in Mix, in addition to the film degrees, are held in the School of Arts, Media, and Engineering. It's focused on extended reality technologies. So people who are developing stuff for VR, XR, AR work, under people who are understanding motion capture, computer vision, machine learning. And then the next one's in the design school. It's called Immersive Experience Design. It's actually a combination of classes from design and AME and music, dance, and theater, and a number of other sites around campus in people who want to develop user interface and user experience work that is either using VR headsets or immersive technologies, or actually developing immersive experiences that are live and in person. And then the last one is actually held in the School for the Future of Innovation and Society. It's called Futures in Design. And it's people who use foresight methodologies and future casting, design thinking, world building practices to take a look at real world problems, large data sets in the real world, and then model futures for what they could look like. So that could be anything from the future of the traffic patterns in a neighborhood to the future of Earth's climate and everything in between. So there's a lot of interdisciplinarity in the research projects, in the graduate work. The long-term goal for the ASU at Mesa City Center campus, which isn't really a campus yet, but the additional buildings, is to build out a kind of creative digital arts program that would be inclusive of lots of other colleges. So right now it's film, AME, design, SFIS, but we'll be adding more as the next buildings are get approved.
I should add, we're not talking about this, but the new LA building, we have a new grad degree that we partnered with Cronkite in narrative and emerging media. So there's sort of a journalism concentration and there's a film concentration for a master's degree there. That again is actually a lot of the same kind of work, more on the practical storytelling end, a little bit less on the highly technical scientific end. But this is where, we believe that a lot of the jobs that our students are going to get are going to be in these new industries. It'll be the same skills: editing, storytelling, visual design, camera, sound, it's just in different formats, different platforms, and different kind of spaces, virtual spaces, learning spaces, educational spaces, spaces of communication. And so that's sort of the big pie in the sky vision, of which the film school is just sort of one of the first critical seeds that's getting planted in the ground there. Yeah. It's a good question. Thank you.
Are there any other questions by chance?
Questions inside the room?
So I know you mentioned that the film majors will have access to the buildings using the Isaac cards, but just for clarification, what about film minors or the digital culture film students?
Anyone enrolled in a class that is associated with the use of those resources.
Yeah. So if you're in a class, if you're in FMP 300, doesn't matter what your major is, you're going to have access to the rooms and equipment in the facility that you need. If someone wants to make a project, independent study, there's different types of academic models that will allow you then to get access to some things. We're not at the point yet where we can promise everybody can check out a camera anytime and get whatever they want. And we're not sure that that's necessarily the best practice. But if you come to us and say, here's my plan, this is what I need, we're going to work out with you how to get that thing made.
This doesn't quite pertain to the Mesa building itself, but we did have a question, speaking of minors, on what improvements are planned for the FMP minor program specifically, and does the film school plan on expanding its honors options? I don't know if that's something
we are going to look at the minor again. Minors are tough because there's specific university requirements for what you're supposed to require. We also like to leave them flexible. We don't want to tell people you have to take, these classes, because what if you're a little more interested in writing or versus tech and that sort of thing. So we are going to look at it because we've added new classes to our catalog that we think would be good for our minors. More tech, more production classes things like that. It's along with the revision of the BFA and the BA degrees. There's going to be some tweaks to those major maps over the next couple of years, as there always is. So we're definitely looking at the minor. The second part of the question was
The
honors. Oh yeah. Most professors will have some kind of honors contract thing built in. I've been to schools where I've seen honors classes and honors sections work a little bit differently, and I think in some cases that might be good for our students, to not just have honors classes for Barrett honors students, but to have honors classes for students who aren't in Barrett, but who are just high achieving students or who want the extra challenge. So I think that's something that we're always open to. But most of our instructors will honor the Barrett honors credit, that kind of thing. I know that we do have one of our recent students, Jackie Lynch Scott, is teaching screenwriting for Barrett. She's been teaching elsewhere. She's an old, but she took a number of classes with us over the last couple of years. So we know that there's a lot of students in Barrett who are interested in media making and filmmaking too. So continuing to reach out and explore those relationships, as well as with the Department of Film and Media Studies, as well as with digital culture. We're looking to grow our faculty to be interdisciplinary. We share faculty with some of the programs that Jake mentioned, faculty like Max Bernstein and Nick Pilarski, Nani Della Pena, who's running our program in Los Angeles. So we're hoping to have more classes that speak to multiple student populations, and you'll see those sort of grow over time. Even some of the ones we're currently doing, like I talked about Nick Pilarski Cinema and Game Worlds. You see how that overlaps to a lot of the kinds of things that Jake is talking about. And that's actually a class that has an undergraduate and a graduate section meeting together. So that's another thing, is a lot of times the newer things they're so highly specialized that they really belong in a master's program. But we want to be sure our advanced students who have a little bit of tech and a little bit of experience behind them have access to those programs and classes too.
Perfect. Yeah. So again, that's all the questions I have. This is the last call for possibly any questions, because this would conclude our meeting, this event, if we do not have any remaining questions. We can stay afterwards to answer individual questions. Of course, our in-person people can feel free to do that. But are there any remaining questions that would like to be posed? Okay.
We're right on, so you're like impeccably timed. So yeah. Well, and as Andrew said, for student related stuff, please reach out to the folks in the film clubs. For things related to curriculum or programming, myself. For film school specific, if it's broader, Jake could certainly be available for that. Keep an eye out for the sizzle reel. May 16th, you said the building is
Ours.
Yes. We have the keys. Yeah. If you want a more specific tour or something, definitely contact me and we'll see what we can do about getting people to get you into places and show you around.
And I'll let the film school know so it can go in this as a real, like, when we have Isaac Access is up and running. Yeah. So that you can have a more drop-in attitude. But until then, until you see that, contact Jason and we'll set up a tour.
Yeah. Well, it's less than a month away.
Yeah. The asterisk is, of course, is because UTO is UTO. Is on May 16th, will Isaac Access work? That's a very big question.
Yeah. But obviously we're thrilled about it. Nobody's ever going to build us a building like this again in our lifetime. You may be, because you're in this world, but not for me.
Nobody's going to build this specific building.
That's for sure. Yeah. It's certainly not a public municipality. It's exceptionally rare for a city to pay for a university facility like this. And the city council, the mayor of Mesa, and the Mesa community, who had a pretty strong perspectives on both sides as this was developing. But the people who are on our side should be commended, and maybe drop the mayor a thank you note once you see the building. And let him know you're going down there, because the more successful we are down there, the quicker those new facilities, those new buildings, and those other things are going to come into line and benefit students in the future. All of this happened is because students 5-10 years ago came to our film program and kept forcing us to grow and innovate. And it became a reality when Jake and everybody in the president and the dean's office realized, oh, wow, the film program is big enough that we can now think of how we can grow that and all of our other things even bigger. So it's really because of the students who've come here in the past and the students who are here right now that we're able to move in. And it'll only be bigger after that. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Perfect. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Of course.
Back to Mesa. Yes. If anyone here has any remaining questions,